mynews.studio.
In Brazil's Amazon, a single government signature has just protected 178,000 hectares. Can land recognition actually halt deforestation? Or is it just a first step?
Today's date is June 6, 2025. Let's dive right in. After nearly 20 years, the Munduruku people have finally secured official demarcation of their ancestral land, Sare Moibu, in Pará, 178,173 hectares. Why did it take 17 years to get here?
It's a mix of bureaucracy, politics, and strong economic interests. The process started back in 2007, but mining, logging, and dam projects kept delaying it. The Munduruku didn't just wait around. They actually marked the boundaries themselves in 2014, putting up signs, even removing people who'd entered illegally.
That's what really stands out. It wasn't just about court battles or paperwork. It was physical action on the ground. So when Brazil's Minister of Justice signed the decree in September 2024, it wasn't just symbolic. After years of confrontation, what does this mean for the Munduruku themselves?
For the Munduruku, the land is everything. It's the river, the forest, the animals, and the future of their community. Alessandra Corap Munduruku, one of their leaders, described the territory as being about life itself. But this victory isn't just symbolic. The decree obligates the government to enforce boundaries, remove illegal occupants, and actually protect the land.
But how much does a government decree actually change on the ground? The Amazon is huge, and enforcement has always been a weak point. Are there real mechanisms to ensure the land stays protected?
That's still a major challenge. The government now needs to physically demarcate the territory and remove illegal miners and loggers. The Munduruku started that process themselves through self-demarcation. They weren't waiting for the state to act. But real enforcement depends on political will. The law is clear, but there's an ongoing risk of retaliation and new incursions.
And there's a broader context here. This territory, Dajacapap Ipi, was under threat from the São Luís do Tapajós Dam, a project that would have flooded part of it. Does this win suggest that development interests are losing ground to indigenous rights?
It does set a precedent. The Munduruku's success has already inspired other indigenous groups. But economic pressures haven't disappeared. Mining, logging, and new legislation in Congress could still undermine these rights. For instance, Chief Juarez of the Munduruku has spoken out about bills that would weaken protections.
So, the struggle isn't over. Legal recognition helps, but the threats continue. Illegal logging, diamond mining, those haven't stopped overnight. Will this demarcation actually slow down Amazon deforestation?
Research shows that indigenous-managed lands are some of the most effective barriers to deforestation. By recognizing Sare Moibu, the government is now legally responsible for stopping illegal activities. If enforcement follows, it should reduce deforestation. But the real test will be whether these boundaries are respected over time.
There's also a global side to this. Why should someone listening outside Brazil care about what's happening here?
Because the Amazon isn't just Brazil's. It's a climate regulator for the whole planet. Indigenous stewardship has been shown to slow deforestation and preserve biodiversity. So, their struggle isn't only about local land rights. It's tied to the global climate and the ecosystem services people everywhere depend on.
And the Munduruku's approach, self-demarcation, building alliances, and public protest, has strengthened indigenous movements all across Brazil. They've worked with groups like the Casa Socio-Environmental Fund and joined large protests like the Indigenous Free Land Camp this past April.
Exactly. Their example is spreading. Other groups are adopting the same tactics: direct action, partnering with environmental NGOs, and legal advocacy. The Munduruku have turned their fight into a kind of blueprint, proving that grassroots mobilization can create change, even when official politics moves slowly.
But with new legislative threats, what's next for the Munduruku and other indigenous groups?
The next steps are defensive and proactive. They need to protect the territories they've secured, push for new demarcations like Sa Re Bapin, and resist legislative attempts to weaken their rights. The Munduruku have made progress, but the pressures, economic and political, are ongoing.
So is this a real turning point for indigenous land rights, or just another chapter in a much longer struggle?
It's a milestone, not the end. It shows what's possible through persistence, but also highlights the continuing risks. The world should pay attention because the future of the Amazon and the rights of the people who protect it concern us all.
To sum up, after 17 years, the Munduruku have secured legal recognition of Sare Muibu, setting a precedent for both indigenous rights and Amazon conservation. The win was hard-earned, but enforcement and future legislative battles are the new front lines.
Thank you for joining us as we explored the Munduruku's historic achievement and its implications for the Amazon and the world.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.